Yo, what's happening, Raider Nation? It's your boy Soto here. You know what it is. Raiders versus the world. Talked about the team that the world loves to hate, your Las Vegas Raiders. Well, it's happened. And I think we all kind of knew that it was going to happen because I think regardless of what you feel about this man, Derek Carr does love the Raiders, okay? He was a Raider for quite a few seasons, and he gave everything he had to the organization when he was playing here. I think how you feel about his play and who he was as a player, I don't think is that important as to the fact that he is definitely a guy that bleeds silver and black. Well, there was a situation that came up on the post-game scrum in the locker room by Ashton Jeanty. Ashton Jeanty was asked a pretty specific question about how he felt about losing. He answered that question maybe to the dislike of some people in Raider Nation. And Derek Carr, I think, took that, I wouldn't say personal, but he took umbrage with it. He didn't like it. He wanted to give some advice to Ashton Jeanty as a rookie, as a young player coming in, on how to handle playing in Raider Nation. So I know that Derek Carr had a very tumultuous tenure with the Raiders. I think he's a very polarizing player in Raider Nation. I think a lot of people see the highs that he reached as a quarterback and feel like that's who he is. A lot of people see the lows that he had as a quarterback and feel like that's who he is. And there's other people like myself who see the highs and the lows and kind of average that out. And like, yeah, he maybe isn't as good as some in Raider Nation think he is. And maybe he wasn't as bad as some in Raider Nation think he was. Kind of somewhere in the middle. I'm that way in a lot of things. I'm that way politically. I'm more of a centrist. I'm that way in a lot of things in life. I like to gather a bunch of information and wait and then make my decision. A lot of people are more polarizing, and that's fine. However you want to think is fine. It's not what we're talking about today. But Derek Carr did say a few things that may push people one way or another. We're going to get into all that. But before we do, I want to make sure everyone please like, comment, and subscribe to this video. It's the next way to support the channel, and it's absolutely free. Also, we have the Shield Society. It's $5 a month. It's a membership. You get the videos right away. You also get the live watch parties with me. So you get my live analysis, my live takes on the game and everything. And I give you guys the opportunity, if you're in the Shield Society, to be on the videos, talking about the game, about what you see on your takes, all on your own. Who else is going to give that to you? All right. So I'm going to save my comments for afterwards. But if you didn't know what happened, after the Chiefs loss, it was a pretty dejected locker room, and you got to do it, man. You have media obligations if you're a professional athlete. Ashton Jeanty was one of the guys that was interviewed post-game in the locker room scrum by, I believe it was Adam Hill who asked him the question. He asked him a question, and actually, you know what? Let's just get to it.
So when you come from a program like you came from, you didn't really lose very often, and so they didn't have performances like this very often. Like, is this kind of a tough adjustment to learn how to go through this kind of thing?
Yeah, I mean, I've lost before in my life, but I definitely don't like losing. It's not something. I don't work as hard as I do not to do. I think anybody else in this building does. To lose like that. So if we're being honest, it's been losing culture around here for a long time. But we have to continue to work to fix that and bring winning back here.
Okay. If you're quick with emotion, okay, if you're quick with emotion, you may think like, what are you saying? We suck. Oh, this and that. And that's not what he's saying. He's actually telling the truth, okay? Ashton Jeanty said, yeah, there's been a losing culture around this organization for quite some time. 2 winning seasons in the last 20-something years, only 2 playoff appearances, no playoff wins since they went to the Super Bowl. Yeah, man, that's a losing culture. And I think a lot of what's lost in Ashton Jeanty's statement is what he said after that. It's up to us to work hard to change that. So he is accepting the challenge of pushing forward and working hard. And he said a little bit before that the team has to work together and look at each other individually and as a group to make sure that what happened against the Chiefs doesn't happen again. I think that a lot of what he said was out of just anger, frustration, maybe a little bit of pain, maybe a little bit of embarrassment, getting beat, getting skunked 31-0, right? Now that was the setup to what happened next on the Homegrown podcast is Derek and David Carr. And Derek Carr spoke directly to Ashton Jeanty about his comments about the Raiders having a losing culture. Listen to what he had to say.
Jeanty, listen, he's new to it. All right, I'm gonna say this to you, Ashton.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, it has been hard there for a long time. It has been hard there for a long time. All right. Trust me. No one knows more than me, big dog. All right. But the only people that can fix it are the ones in the building. You got to set the culture. You got to set the standard. We went to the playoffs 2 times and it hadn't happened for 20 years. Okay.
Yeah.
So I know how hard it is. But instead of dwelling on it, I'm excited to see the young back go run more violently than he's ever ran.
I love that.
Pick up blitzes more violently with his hands than he ever has.
Yep.
To push the team forward, to propel the football team forward, because I believe in the Raiders, man. I still believe in them.
I love that about you.
All right. So, again, if you take the very first part of what Derek Carr said and you just encapsulate that very first part, yeah, it looks like Derek Carr is calling out Ashton Jeanty, right? He's basically saying, dude, don't complain about it. Go out there and do something about it. But after that, he said, I know he's going to go out there and run harder and block harder than he ever has. And that kind of goes in line with what Ashton Jeanty said at the end of his statement. Now, unfortunately, people in the media and people out there are going to take little clips of what Derek Carr said. That's why I wanted to make sure I got the whole thing and I just clipped out that one piece off the whole thing. So I make sure that I got everything in context. A little bit of a better way to go about this would have been, he didn't acknowledge that Ashton Jeanty acknowledged what needs to be done now. And that's a big mistake by Derek Carr. He left himself wide open for people to attack him because of how he addressed what Ashton Jeanty said. And people were going to talk about it, man. Ashton Jeanty was actually asked about it when he was interviewed by Yahoo Sports. This is what he had to say.
And it's tough as a rookie entering the league. We'll talk about the flack that every rookie with high expectations gets. But your team specifically as a franchise has struggled over the last few years. And I know you've been vocal about saying, yes, we've been stuck. We've been losing. Former Raider Derek Carr was very vocal in his response to that. Maybe you saw it, maybe you didn't. He said you have to be one of the culture setters to turn this around. And of course, you're a rookie. That's a lot of pressure. Are you wanting to take that responsibility on?
Yeah, I fully take some of that responsibility. It's not all on me. There's a lot of other people and things that, contribute to that. But definitely to be one of the people a part of that, I definitely do. And, I take pride in, being a leader and, try to make, things better, bring others along. And all I can really continue to do is be an example and, control the things that I can control. And I know other people follow and get behind that.
All right. So we heard what Ashton Jeanty felt about what Derek Carr said. And he's right. Yes, he wants to do his part. And I think that is a better move forward. The issue that I see with the whole gung-ho, follow me guys type of mentality is when you have a team that's firing, a team that's clicking, a team that's really coming together, there are multiple leaders on that team. There may be one central guy, but there's a bunch of people within that group that have leadership qualities, that display leadership qualities. So I like the answer that Ashton Jeanty had. He said, yeah, I'm going to do my part, right? I'm going to do my part. And he can't do it all, but he's going to do his part. There's a lot of other people that need to be out there doing their part. And Ashton Jeanty kind of throwing it back at Derek Carr, like, hey, man, I get what you're saying, but it's not just me here. And he's kind of calling out his teammates as well. It's like, look, man, I'm going to do my part. I need everyone else on this team to do their part. If everyone on that team has that leadership mentality and those leadership qualities, they understand. And it's not an ego thing, right? When you get a bunch of leaders together that aren't ego driven, then they can work together. The issue that we're seeing here a lot of times is people have egos without the leadership qualities. And they say, just follow me. And because I say so, because I'm the leader, because I'm the best player on the team, because I do this, because I think I'm that, right? And I'm not saying that's Derek Carr or anybody else for that matter, but I think a little bit of clarity in how Derek Carr addressed what Ashton Jeanty said would have maybe taken away some of that fire and some of that ammo that anyone in the media had for how he, I don't want to say criticized, but how he kind of addressed what Ashton Jeanty said. Because of all this, we get responses like the one from Jason Fitz following this Yahoo Sports interview on how Derek Carr addressed Ashton Jeanty. Listen to this.
You talked to Ashton about culture, and that comes from his comments of, hey, I'm not going to lie, it's a losing football team. And Derek Carr, coming back on his podcast and saying, you got to be the one to change that. I think that's all a little bit misguided from Derek Carr, to be honest. And I say that as somebody that particularly has been a fan of Derek Carr's work with the Raiders. I know that he's a bit polarizing for that fan base, but not for me as a Raiders fan. I think Derek Carr did a really nice job as the quarterback for the Raiders. But the fact is, Derek Carr had 2 winning seasons in 9 years. He was 63-79 as a starter for the Las Vegas Raiders. Now, this is where Derek Carr, I think, would come back fairly and say, hey, that's not my fault. I went out and played my tail off, and we lost a lot of football games, right? Because no one person fixes a culture. In fact, if one person could fix a losing culture, Maxx Crosby would have already done that. I don't know how you can have a bigger personality, especially a bigger accountability personality, a bigger sort of guy than Maxx Crosby is in that locker room. So I don't think it's on Ashton Jeanty. I think Ashton Jeanty is just being refreshingly honest when he says, that they've had a weird culture. And Derek Carr needs to understand, I think to some degree, not to tell Derek Carr what to understand, but I think maybe there's a lack of accepting to the nuance that no one person, when you are a tragically bad team year in and year out, Claudia, no one person in the locker room fixes that. It takes a bunch of people that come in and have a different vibe and a different energy, and they can sort of get the stink of losing off. I don't think Ashton Jeanty, if Ashton Jeanty was coming in trying to be the best leader we've ever seen at the running back position in history, and he was having production on the level of Jonathan Taylor, that doesn't mean Ashton Jeanty by himself can fix the culture of what's been a bad football team for the better part of almost 30 years.
Very direct from Jason Fitz, man. And, he is a big Derek Carr fan, so he's not coming at Derek Carr as like a hater or anything like that. But to change a culture, it takes more than one guy to be a silent leader. It takes a guy that's willing to call people out, that's willing to point people out. Hey, this is what it doesn't look like. This is what leadership doesn't. This is what winning doesn't look like. This is what winning football doesn't look like on tape. This locker room, if you've never been in a locker room where people put their bodies on the line, it's very difficult to understand. There's a different level that you can accept from people that are in the firefight with you than people who aren't. Even coaches, even owners, all that's GMs. There are players who play next to you can tell you some stuff about you and your play and your attitude or whatever that other people can't, because they're going through exactly what you're going through. And they're putting their body on the line exactly the way you're putting your body on the line. That's one thing that Derek Carr needs to understand now, is that he is no longer a player. He never played with Ashton Jeanty, okay? He never has shared the field. He was never in the NFL when Ashton Jeanty was playing in the NFL, okay? He is now transitioned to retired life. He is a former player, all right? He doesn't have that ability, I don't think, to call out these players the way he called out Ashton Jeanty. Now, he did caveat that at the end, but I think it was close enough to where it did warrant some attention, especially the way that Jason Fitz said it. Yeah, you're talking about being the leader, and you had a losing record, and you went to the playoffs only twice. Again, he's throwing it in the bigger picture here. Okay, let's take a look at the big picture here. Let's not lose sight of the big picture. The big picture is Jason Fitz is saying, Derek Carr, if it was as easy as one person willing it to happen, you would have made it happen. You, being Derek Carr, know more than anybody else that it takes more than just one person to be able to make this happen. So for Derek Carr to single out Ashton Jeanty, now, again, he was responding to Ashton Jeanty's quote, but to single out Ashton Jeanty as a guy that needs to be that leader, and that will fix it, yeah, man, that's kind of tough for me. If you're going to say something, say the whole thing. Right? Something like this. Let me know what you guys think. Ashton Jeanty, I've been there. I know losing. I know I've been there. I've gone through the rough times with Raider Nation. Trust me, I gave it all for years. You have to be that example. You have to be that leader along with everyone else on your team. Be that example and hold your teammates accountable to what needs to be done in order for them to be leaders and you all to be winners together. Not one person wins a game and not one person loses a game, but bad attitude can spread throughout that locker room, and that can kill an entire locker room. You say something like that, that would, I think, be a lot easier to digest from people because, again, he never played with Ashton Jeanty. Derek Carr didn't. And to try to single him out it would be different if Derek Carr had won Super Bowls and all this stuff. And he was like, yeah, man, I did it. This is how I did it. Derek Carr, you didn't do it. You were in the position that Ashton Jeanty is. Actually, you had more control over this offense than Ashton Jeanty has. And you couldn't do it. So for you to call somebody out, I don't know, man. Let me know what you guys think, man. Let me know what you guys think in the comments about this. I don't think that it was handled very well on Derek Carr's end. I do think that Jason Fitz was right in a sense to call Derek Carr out on that, but he also neglected to talk about how Derek Carr did say after his comment that, yeah, you have to be that for everyone else on the team as well. It's a situation that I think was bound to happen, seeing as how just tied and how much Derek Carr still does love the Raiders. But ultimately, he's not a player anymore, man. He doesn't have that cachet with the people in the locker room because, number one, he's not a current player, and number two, he has never really won anything himself. So it's going to be a little bit more difficult because he does wear his emotions on his sleeve, and I appreciate that about Derek Carr, and I appreciate everything he did for Raider Nation. But this is something that needs to be handled a little bit more delicately than the way he handled this situation, especially with a rookie like Ashton Jeanty, who's trying his very best and doesn't have a lot to work with in front of him. Derek Carr should know more about that than anybody else. All right, guys, that's my time for today. Really appreciate you guys watching. Go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe to this video. It's a nice way to support the channel. It's absolutely free, and it's the bare minimum you can do to support the channel, besides doing nothing to watch the video. On top of that, we have the Shield Society. It's only $5 a month. Like I said, if you want to do it, great. Do it. You'll like it. Cool stuff. Awesome. If not, that's fine too. I'm still giving you a video every single day. On top of that, if you want to support the sponsors and support the channel, go on the link tree in the description of this video. It has all my socials. It has all my sponsors. If you use one of my sponsors, make sure to use the promo code SOTO. That's SOTO. Give you all the freebies and all the goodies that you're entitled by using that promo code. And for all that, I just ask you guys to do one thing for me. Please tell your friends, tell your haters, tell your mamas, tell everybody. Raiders versus the world is the greatest thing going in Raider Nation today. All right, guys, that's my time. Until next time, everybody. Peace.
Hey, Raider Nation. Thanks for watching. There's plenty more where that came from. Go ahead and smash that like button. Drop a comment. Make sure to subscribe and share to all your socials. It's the bare minimum you can do without doing absolutely nothing.